very sensitive one. Let me introduce myself. My name is Tauheedah Washington. I am one of the hosts for Pretty in Peace, Not in Pieces. Tasha, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, and I am Tarsha Getty. I am the other host of Pretty in Peace and Not in Pieces.
All right. We are a healing experience. We have come together to help parents that have lost children, give them a platform to provide their stories on how they've turned their pain into purpose and their healing journey. And so tonight is going to be a very sensitive but much needed discussion. We ask that everyone is respectable in the chat and just know the information that's provided here is information that we ask that you guys share with your children. And if your children are in the room with you, definitely have them hop on and listen as well. Now, we do have a special guest along with us. Scyla, if you want to introduce yourself.
Wait 1 second. Sorry. I don't do this that often. My name is Scyla Pondexter Moore. Hello, everyone. And I'm a DC native, been here my whole life. And I chose to, or decided to join this discussion because it needs to be discussed. As hard as discussing this is, and as much as it hurts, I have to do it. So that's why I'm here to talk about this, because it needs to be talked about.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you joining us, Scyla. And, you and I share the same thoughts when it comes down to the sensitivity of what this is and how it has impacted and changed our life forever. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story and your daughter's story. So how I wanted to do this live is I wanted to share my story and my son's story, have Scyla share her story. Tasha will be conducting Scyla's story along with her. And afterwards, we'll be wrapping it up with, I have a lot of information on fentanyl, the dangers of fentanyl. I have information on training that's provided as well. So we'll hop right in. So, the reason why we decided to do this live is if you guys are not aware, it has been such a spike and increase in fentanyl overdoses in schools worldwide. You have kids that are getting what they believe is a Percocet or a type of opioids that's not cut. And unfortunately, the DEA has estimated that 6 out of 10 fake pills that are being distributed on the street are cut with fentanyl and the lethal dose of fentanyl. So that's why you're seeing such an increase in fentanyl overdose. So I'll hop right in with my story and my encounter with fentanyl. My son, Tauheedah Williams, his birthday was October 6, 2019. He had just turned 21. We celebrated his birthday as family and friends. We did a brunch. His birthday fell on a Sunday. And that night, he decided to go out with friends. And he was given a pill, what we believe he thought was a Percocet, but unfortunately it was cut with fentanyl, and it took my son's life. Now, what I want y'all guys to understand when it comes down to fentanyl, unless you have someone on hand with Narcan that can resuscitate you and bring you back to life, 9 times out of 10, once you have ingested the pill and no one is there with the Narcan, then that's pretty much your life. You're gone. So I just want to kind of give a background on my son and the first time he was introduced to opioids. So my son was an athlete. He played football, basketball. He played competitively AAU basketball, and he sustained an injury. Well, with his injury, he ended up needing surgery on his ankle. The surgery was pretty extensive. The ligaments in his legs were completely destroyed, so they had to connect the tendons. So of course, naturally coming out of surgery, my son was in a lot of pain, and he was put on prescription drugs to help him with the pain. I want to emphasize that because I know there's quite a few parents that have children that are athletes, and it is very common for them to have injuries. So with the opioids, when I go back to say, well, when's the first time Tajia actually was introduced to it? It was during the sports injury when he was given pain medication to help him with the pain from his injuries. Fast forward from there, he went off to college. When he went off to college, he was a college kid just like any other kid, partying, smoking weed, and he was introduced to Xanax. So I was aware that he had a situation with Xanax off in college. Fast forward, he came home. My son was a big weed smoker. So it was nothing but to see him with his friends smoking weed. And I thought that, the Xanax was, hey, something you tried at college. You seen it wasn't for you. You were done with that. What I need a lot of parents to understand is marijuana is born to these kids now. Pills are a trend. A lot of times, and I know like with old school, like myself, and if you're in your 40s and 50s, our mind is only addicts are pill poppers. This is a whole nother generation now. And these kids, what is trending now is these kids are into pills. And what makes them so extremely dangerous is a fake pill and a real pill looks identical. With the human eye, you are not able to distinguish, hey, this is a Percocet cut with fentanyl. You will not know until they're preparing your funeral. That's when you find out, when you're dead and gone. So I just wanted to share my son's story. My son went out, got a pill, and that it took his life. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death amongst Americans under the age of 50. It's not heart disease. It's not cancer. It's not even guns. It's not gunshot victims. It's fentanyl. So I need everyone to understand the severity of this and sit down and talk to your children and let them know this is not a game. Once you ingest that pill, it's no coming back after that pill. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you guys even seen the live where a police officer was taking a routine stop, found confiscated fentanyl, and literally was out. If it wasn't a police officer standing nearby that had the Narcan, that took it up her nose, that brought her back, she would have been dead. It takes a pillar, like a pillar of salt. That's how deadly and lethal fentanyl is. It's like a pinch of salt that will kill you. Anytime if you touch it, it's lethal enough to kill you. So I need you guys to understand the severity of this fentanyl and get out of your mind. If you have the thought process, not my kid, you're sadly mistaken, because it's me and thousands of other parents that never thought in a million years that this would happen to their child. And I'm here to provide my son's story and in hopes to help a parent emphasize how severe this is. And it is a trend. It's not, oh, the weed is out. They're not worried about weed no more. These kids are, and then the music is not helping. These rap songs that are emphasizing Percocets, Molly's, and all that. And half of the rappers that's rapping about it, they don't even ingest pills. They don't even take pills, but they're glorifying pills. And unfortunately, our kids are out there getting them, and then they're getting them from these street pharmacists. And the reason why they are being cut with fentanyl is fentanyl is cheap. So they can produce more pills by cutting it with something that's going to kill people, but they don't care. They're just collecting the money. So, I just wanted to share my story. I noticed that we lost Scyla. I'm gonna see if I can bring her back up, because I definitely would like her to share her story as well. And also I'll be providing you guys with some much needed information as well. Let me bring Scyla up. Hold on one moment. Scyla, I believe you may have to go out and come back in because it's not giving me. Hold on, let me see. Let me try this way. Hold on one sec. Thank you guys, everybody that has joined. I really appreciate you guys joining. And please, this information, I'm gonna keep this live up. Share it to everyone you know. This is information that I wish I had, that maybe my son will still be here alive to get. Scyla, I'm not sure how we lost you, but welcome back. Tasha does have some questions for you as well, and the floor is all yours.
And first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Tauheedah. I just want to thank you for your strength and your courage through it all. I mean, even to be an advocate now of the fentanyl, and like you said, it's just devastating all the way across the board. Like you said, it's outnumbering the gunshot victims and things. The other unfortunate deaths that we hear about and see on a daily basis. But I just, I just want to take my hat off to you for the strength that you have to, to become an advocate in this. And also,
I don't
and speaking of
want to see
advocacy,
another parent have to go through what we go through.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And then Scyla, then on you, you just been you've been a light as well, and that's why we wanted to have you on as far as your strength. And I know a lot of times, because I'm in your shoes, Tauheedah, we're all in the same boat when it comes to have lost a child. We don't feel strong, but people see our strength from the outside. Just being able to get out of bed every day and take care of the other children, or go to work, or do little things. It's the baby steps to get there. But Scyla, if you could enlighten us and just tell us a little bit about your baby girl Cairo, what happened, and enlighten us on just how what type of person she was and what she loved to do and all of those things. And we would definitely want to hear about that and hear your story.
Well, first I want to definitely send my condolences to all mothers who have lost a child. It doesn't matter what you lost your child from. It's just the loss of a child is something that no one will understand unless you've been through it. Yes. So condolences, and I'll love and light to everyone who's lost a child. So this is my daughter right here. This is Cairo. And
Beautiful.
you can see her face. And Cairo passed away June 13th, 2021. It's the day that changed my life. And Cairo, I've seen a lot of coverage about parents trying to find out about fentanyl. And they're trying to see what's going on. I saw with something like 8 overdoses in 8 days out in Clarksburg, Virginia, or Loudoun County.
It's been more this week too.
Yeah. So it's definitely an epidemic, and no family is safe. And I hate to sound like that, because you have
it's the truth.
Well, what if this is hitting all families of all economic status, of all colors, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So it's best that parents just educate themselves on what to look for. Absolutely. Now, my child's story. My child was sexually assaulted at the age of 16. And she was sexually assaulted by someone that she did not know. And so we're dealing with trauma. So you have a lot of children, a lot of teens who are dealing with trauma. It doesn't have to be in any type of trauma. They're dealing with issues.
Absolutely.
And this is my child's story. And so she was trying to get help for her PTSD, for her trauma, for her demons that she was fighting. And she kept saying it wasn't working. She was going to therapy. They were putting her on medication. She kept saying it doesn't work. It doesn't work. My grandmother had stage 5 cancer. And so my daughter got into her medicine cabinet and got into her oxys. Because she hears about it on the music all the time. Everybody popping perks.
Right. Because they glorify it in the music.
Yeah. So she's thinking, well, let me try this. Let me try it. And she tried it, and the numbness that she was looking for to numb her pain from her demons, that was what worked. Everything else, the therapy, all that, she wanted something that was going to just take her mind off of what happened. And that was what did it. And so when she had that feeling, and once she realized that this is, and I found all this out after the fact,
of course.
So I didn't know at the time that's what was going on. So when she had that feeling, she wanted to feel it more and more and more. And when she couldn't get her hands on the prescription that my grandma, when she couldn't get her hands on the real ones, that's when she started going to the street ones.
Yeah.
And she was first taking them, popping them, but she was complaining about stomach pain. Oh, she was throwing up a lot, stomach pain, stomach. And I thought it was a gastro problem. Well, find out oxys mess your stomach up, and somebody told her, oh, you got to crush them. You got to snort them, and your stomach won't get jacked up. And so that's when she started snorting. So once you start snorting, that's when it really takes control. It hijacks your brain. And so her tolerance went up from taking 10s to 30s. She was doing 60 milligrams. Her tolerance level got up. So when I found out through being quarantined in the house, we were quarantined, and I kept hearing this banging noise like this all the time. And I'm like, what is that noise? What is that noise? Come to find out she was crushing pills. So all of the signs were there. I didn't know. And that's what, like you say, Tauheedah, maybe if I tell somebody else, then they can know and intervene faster or know the signs. Because I feel like I went so long being naive, not knowing I was working. I was,
absolutely,
I didn't know.
Parent.
I was being a parent. And then when I did realize she was taking them, I still didn't really understand the seriousness of it until it turned into a full-blown addiction. So she had overdosed twice already before the final one. She had already overdosed. And she was found in a rehab center. She was in a rehab center. She was trying to get better. She was trying to get off of it. She just could not kick that habit. And my mother found her in a rehab center. She had taken a fentanyl. She had ingested fentanyl, and she passed in her sleep.
Wow.
And so I think about her all day, every day.
Of course.
And I just, like you said, you don't want another parent to go through this. And every time I hear a story about another parent that has been through this,
it rips your heart apart, because we know. We know.
And I'm a whole different person. Not the same person I used to be at all. And I never
will be.
I never will be. I'm not. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, this is not the same person. I don't think the same. I don't react the same. I'm not the same person. So I hope that anything that I can help to share, any questions, will help another parent. And thank you for doing this, Tauheedah.
Oh, absolutely. And Scyla, thank you for sharing your story, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Just, as a parent, your thought is, I want to protect my child from everything. And when it's something that you can't protect your child from, it just, psychologically, it wears on you. You kind of go back, like you said, like I went back and said, well, when the first time he got introduced to opioids, and I thought about that surgery, and then I said to myself, maybe he should have never got the surgery. He would have never known what an opioid was. And so you just kind of try to replay and see if you could have done anything to change it. But what I've came to the conclusion of is what we're doing now is the awareness. Because like you said, we didn't know. Like, I never even heard of fentanyl
Right.
until it took my son's life. I've never even heard of it. And I work in pharmaceutical industry, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's just about that education and awareness. And Skyla, it is someone in the chat that did have a question. If you want to address it, says, so how do I deal with it with my daughter now? Now, Ray, do you have a daughter that's currently addicted to opioids? Is your daughter currently using pills that you're aware of? Not sure if they're still there or not, but if you want to address that question, like
Yeah.
what
Well,
should a parent do?
this is what my daughter said, because I looked through her journal that she would write in, and
Okay.
as a parent, when you going through it, you feel like your job is to fix it. I was afraid when I finally realized the whole scope of what was going on. And I realized the whole scope when I got my hands on her phone. When she went into rehab, they take your phone from you. Usually she would keep her phone, but I took her phone
Right.
the second time and I got into it. I got the code, and I know I invaded her privacy, and she was so upset, but I would not have known how deep this was if I didn't go through that phone.
Right.
That phone took it all.
Right.
And so I gotta save my daughter mode. And so in those meetings, they told me, and when I say meetings, it's the NAR meetings, like when you have a loved one, and they were saying that you have to take your emotions out of it. You have to take your emotions out of it, because I would get stern on her about, we got to get better. But then when she would cry and get emotional, it would make me emotional,
Of
which made me an
course.
enabler.
That's your
So
baby.
so they told me to take the emotions out of it. And now that I think back on it, I should have acknowledged her struggle versus just telling. Like when she would call me from rehab, she would say, I can't do it. I want to leave. Like she would complain, she would cry. And I would just say, you can do it. Just trying to, be supportive instead of saying, I know it's hard. Understand.
Right. And it's so hard to identify, especially if you never had that issue. And I think that it was very difficult for me to understand, like, my son just didn't have a limit and he wasn't afraid enough and wasn't afraid to try anything. And I'm just like, I'm skeptical about everything. So it was hard for me to identify, like, having that no limit to, you know, try anything. So, it, and see, that's what we go through, Skylar, right? So like, I should have said this, I should have did that. But we were just being parents and you didn't know. You know what I mean? You didn't know. So any parent will feel like, yes, I'm encouraging, like, you can do this, you can do that. But because you don't know that personal struggle, so you did the right thing by encouraging her. You know what I mean? So this is difficult.
If I could just, just speak to another, parent, it's like the story about when you're down in a hole and you can't get out the hole, and everybody's coming to the hole trying to get here's a ladder, here's a rope, here's something to get you out the hole, get out the hole, and you just can't get out the hole, versus somebody coming down there and sitting down there with you in the hole,
right,
and listening to you and having empathy for you, and say, I will sit here until we get out this hole.
That's right. We'll figure this
So
out
I've
together.
learned now. It's like I've learned, and I wish I would have known at the time, but I was just I just didn't want her to die,
Right. No, I know. Thank you so much, Skylar. I'm sorry. This is not it's the hardest thing is just knowing that what has happened kind of was out of our control. I think about those last moments of my son, and like, if I could have been there to help, or if I was there, maybe I would have been able to save him. You kind of go through those motions of like, how could I, if I was there, I could have saved them. You know, that's just what we feel like as parents. But thank you so much, Scyla, for sharing your beautiful daughter with us and sharing your story. And I'm gonna keep this live up because I know it's going to help so many people. But I want to give some facts on fentanyl. As well, and encourage anyone now, just if you have a child that you know may have started, you know, popping pills, or you have because we know our children too, right? So when you start seeing different patterns of behavior and you suspect that something's not right, like you said, Scyla, you went through your daughter's phone. I feel as though to save your child's life, if you got to go through the phone, go through the phone. Go through the phone. If if you feel like something's not right, or even if you know that, like I said with my son, I knew, like, okay, you went off to college, you tried something, a New Year's or something, you've tried something. It doesn't matter because it only takes that one time. And unfortunately, with these kids, what is severe is it doesn't have to be a pill problem, like, oh, my son or daughter started popping pills and 2 years later this happened. It's not no years later. It's that
No.
one pill that's unfortunately taking the lives of the children. So I just want to give some facts here with you guys. Like I said earlier, the DEA laboratory testing reveals that 6 out of 10 fentanyl pills have a potential lethal dose of fentanyl. So that's basically every 10 pills that are sold, 6 of them someone's ODing off of them because they have that lethal amount of fentanyl. And like I said, it only takes like literally a pinch of salt to kill someone. To break down fentanyl as well and how potent it is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. And that's what makes it so deadly. And so, just like with Scyla yourself, it sounds like you've done like what I've done, like knowing that this deadly opioids has taken my son's life. I needed to know more about it. Shortly after my son's death, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind to obtain all the information, but I signed up with the DC Department of Health, and I did a Narcan training with them. A lot of that information came in one ear and out the other because I was just grieving so heavily that I wasn't able to retain the information. But I was highly suggest if you're in DC, you can go on the DC Department of Health website and sign up for the Narcan training. Now, for the Virginia residents, I have signed up for it's called Revive. It's an online course through Fairfax County. It is free, just like with DC Department of Health. It is free. They will provide you with Narcan training. They will send you Narcan, and they will send you testing strips for fentanyl. So if you have a child that you know that they're popping pills and they're getting pills off the streets, you can actually get the testing strips for free. Have them test the strips. Now, I'm not advocating taking a pill at all. But if you know you have a child that has a problem and they're going to do what they want to do anyway, at least have them be safe. At least have them be safe by having these testing strips. But I highly recommend, if you have a child that has a pill problem, beg them to get some treatment ASAP, because it's like a walking tick bomb. It's no coming back. And honestly speaking, if you continue down a road of substance abuse and popping pills, just like Scyla explained it earlier, your tolerance gets higher and higher and higher and higher, and the need, your system, the cravings of it, and then that's when you're going out and getting it from people. And unfortunately, these people on the streets that are selling these pills, they do not care that it's killing people. So we have to teach our children and advocate for our children and understand how severe this is. And I'm willing to, after this live, if you have a child that has a problem and you're trying to get through to them, if I have to pull up with my son's urn to show them what the end result is for popping pills, I will do it, because I don't want any parent to have to endure this. This is not a road that you want to go through. It's no joke. And like, you know, me and Tasha have said, people look at us, Scyla, you said to yourself, you look at yourself in the mirror. People look at us and we physically look the same, but you don't know what it has taken from us from the inside. You have no idea what it takes from a parent. Every time I hear a parent has lost a child, I know their life, Ricky Smiley's life, will never be the same. It takes everything out you to lose a child. It is a lifelong recovery. It's no get quick, like, oh, I've gone through the 5 stages of grief, and it's lifelong until we are back with our children again. You know, so I just kind of wanted to point out some of this information that I have gotten off of the Fairfax County website. Has been a great resource. I am signed up towards the end of this month to take the Revive class. I'm in a better headspace where I actually can retain the information. I plan on getting as much Narcan as I can. I am going to go to my son's high school. I really feel as though every school, just like they have a defibrillator for cardiac arrest, every school needs to have Narcan and a nurse that knows how to administer it, because that's how bad this problem is getting. They had an overdose at Wakefield High School, 5 out Montgomery County, and the numbers just keep increasing.
And
something has to be.
And I like to really push the test strips, like you said, because my daughter passed away alone. There was nobody in the room with her. So for people who are alone, where there's no one who can administer Narcan to you, and the test strips really need to be pushed, because I don't see them anywhere. I don't see them.
100%.
This is just, you know, the awareness is just so great, you know, just to, you know, to hear all of this, you know, even, you know, through the losses and hearing the, you know, moving forward with getting this education out to everybody. Because, you know, she and I have had this conversation before. I've sat the kids down, you know, because they're in high school, you know, even to with, you know, they put it in the candy and the chips, and they got in all kinds of stuff. And I've been having a, you know, to talk with them every day. They come, don't take nothing from nobody, don't eat behind nobody, don't do nothing, because it's out there and it's in all forms. Even, you know, outside of the pills, they putting it in the candy because they trying to get the middle school kids and the high school
candy. They have pills. They have these rainbow colored pills that mimic candy, and you have these distributors on. I mean, you got people on social media. I mean, it's just like buying a toy. That's how these pills are being distributed. It's not. They don't have to go through a lot of red tape to get to them. It's accessible. They're selling them in the school, and that's why these kids are overdosing right in schools. That's how severe this problem is. And to your point, Scyla, you have kids, unfortunately, that's going to do what they want to do. Yeah, they're calling them Skittles. You got kids that's going to do what they want to do. And if we can really push and advocate for these testing strips, because at least if you're going to do what you want to do, at least test those pills before. Because like I said, the DEA reported that it is 6 out of 10 of these pills that are being pushed on the street have a deadly dose of fentanyl. So I wanted to also provide some of the common names, because, you know, our kids are famous for talking in codes. And as parents, we need to know, you know, just like how, you know, a weed had 101 names associated to them, these pills do too. So they said some of the common street names are Apache, China Girl, Dance Fever, Goodfellas, Great Big He-Man, Jackpot, Tango and Cash. So these are the names that they have associated to these pills. And like I said, these pills, unfortunately, are identically look just like the real deal. So, unfortunately, a lot of these kids that are passing away are under the false perception that they're getting a Percocet, but they're getting a Percocet laced with fentanyl that's instantly taking their lives. So,
my daughter's code word was jamming.
Jammy.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They all when they would say they jamming or about to jam, that's what that means. And I used to hear that word and I didn't know what it meant. And
Right.
so look out for that word too.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So look, the words that they'll have codes to distinguish that they know what they're talking about as kids, but as parents, you may be oblivious that, oh yeah, I heard them say this, that, and the third, but I didn't know what they were talking about. So it is definitely knowing the code words for these pills is definitely helpful, because if you hear them, that's when you can approach your child and sit down with them and see, what's really going on. Because, as parents, we work, we got 101 things on our plate. You can't be with your child 24/7. So you have to provide the awareness and get in their ear every chance you get, because society, the media, and everything else is pulling at them as well. So we have to be able to educate them and provide them with this information that will save their lives.
Absolutely.
Lastly, I wanted to provide some of the common effects to, like, signs of overdose. Would be heavily sedation, confusion, drowsiness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and of course, from my understanding, it's just you stop breathing, in a nutshell. And it's very common that a lot of people have been found in their sleep, in their bed, after ingesting the pill, and they just stop breathing. So, I want to just emphasize, if you have someone in the home, you have a kid that you suspect, sit down, have them listen to this live. I am going to keep it up. Again, if you need me to pull up with my son's Aaron to show them exactly what the end result is, it's not a game out here. It's literally life or death. It's not it every 5 minutes someone's overdosing. That's how serious this issue is. My last final words is, I've recently had friends that have came to me. They know people that have lost children. They kind of ask me what they can do when someone has lost a child. And I definitely want Scyla and Tasha, you guys, to chime in this one well. What I always say is, please respect the boundaries of a parent that has lost a child. Um, you have no idea, unless you have lost a child, what a person has gone through. What I have found in my time, I'm going into year 4 along with Tasha, and my son lived for 21 years, and I would say 22 years, because 9 months of his life was spent in my stomach before anyone knew him. To think that I'm over the death of my son, you are sadly mistaken. And unfortunately, you have some entitled people out here that almost feel like, oh, you look fine, you know, um, being available for other people when you're healing over the death of your child. You can't be. Respectively, if you know someone that has lost a child, the best thing you can do is respect their boundaries. If they're not available, that's exactly what it is. They're not available. Don't make their grief about you. And me and Tasha have had that conversation before. You have some people that will make your grief about them. Don't make my grief. Don't make the next mother's grief about them. And respectively, know time does nothing but make us miss our children even more. I am far from over the death of my son. I will never be over losing my child. So that's my advice to anyone that, you know, has someone close by that has lost a child. Please respect their boundaries. Please, that you can walk a mile in the shoes of a parent that has lost a child. Understand that they're going through something that you have no idea. Respect their peace and respect their boundaries. So that's my take on it. Tasha, Scyla, you know, any final thoughts, any advice to the parents and the people that are watching?
I would just any advice that I would give to another parent is take your time. Take your time with this thing. You know, you can't rush through your new life, your new surround, what it is. Like Skylar said, looking in the mirror, you see, I look in the mirror every day and I see Tarsha, but it's not the old me. Like, it's a new person. I'm different. I think differently. I feel differently, because a major part of who made me to be who I am. He was the first person to call me mom.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer on this earth. So that is very detrimental to my being. And to piggyback on what he said, it's so true, and it's so important. When you lose a child, and you know, you have surrounding people in your life, friends, other family, they lose sight of the fact that you are the parent. And like Tauheedah said, you carried this baby and nurtured this baby in your belly for 9 months prior to their grand entrance to the world. People, they want you to help them grieve. And like Skylar mentioned earlier, they're not empathetic to what you're going through.
They want to make their grief about them. And then they want you to kind of, if you a person that was the go-to person, it's almost like, put your grief aside, and it's a sense of entitlement. Be available for me. I can't be available for somebody.
Absolutely. I've lost a lot of people, a lot of friendships when I buried my son. But to God be the glory. But it was all because of this whole scenario of people wanting you to help them grieve, people wanting you to put aside what you've been torn apart from the inside out, and they want you to hold it together, get it together,
right? And
then don't forget about the ones who say, "Oh, she got other kids." You let me know which one. You let me know which one you can live without, because I can't live without none of mine. So, you know, it's just it's a learning process. It's a healing process. You definitely have to have boundaries, and you have to stick to your boundaries. If it's intruding with your peace, let it go.
That's right. Amen. Amen. I agree 100% with that. Anything that is disturbing your peace must be eliminated. That, you know, that's just the bottom line. And no one can tell anyone how to grieve, and no one can give you a timeline of how long you have to grieve to be available for them, because that's not how this works. Great point. Great point. Scyla, you have any last thoughts that you would like to share?
The last thoughts I have around, I mean, because the show is about, you know, fentanyl, is just look for the signs.
Yes.
So there's information out here now. I mean, I don't know if the information was out here and I just didn't see it because I don't know, but it's information out here now.
I think that it's because it's becoming such, in the last 2 years, they said that the spike has gone through the roof. So they have to bring awareness to it now, because they can't hide it.
Yeah, I see just so many changes. Like when my daughter was in rehab, she hated to be called an addict. And that was part of the program. You have to say you're an addict. You have to say it, you know, and she hated it. And she hated the terminology that was used. And now I see they're changing the terminology. On the buses, they call it substance use. They don't call it addiction. They call it substance use something now. It's like different words, different terminology. The same stuff that she was talking about. I see the changes. You know, it's like I just wish that things were different.
Of
But
course.
just anybody, if you see any changes in your child, if you see, don't take it for granted. If you hear them talking about jamming, if you hear them talking about 10s, 30s, you know, if you
Her
hear
30s,
if you
yeah.
hear banging, if you hear banging in your house, that's crushing pills. If you see them nodding out, you know, they're going to say stuff like, I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, you know, I'm high off weed, you know, no, you know, if you know, because when you think something, you want to take your child's word for it.
Right.
But if you change, I would
Right.
say, even when it comes to any type of mental, you know, if you see anything with your child, you know, I don't condemn them. Don't yell at them. I mean, sometimes we yell. We parents, we
Right.
yell, you know, but
Yeah.
don't make them feel bad. But just empathize with them and try to understand where they're coming from, but definitely intervene.
That's right. That's
Intervene.
right.
Because one thing my daughter said was, I didn't know it was going to get to this. You know, like she said, when I took that
Nobody
first,
does.
and I told her, nobody takes a pill and say, hey, I want to be addicted. I want to be an addict. Like, she didn't know. And she said that
No.
they don't know. And she said that pill was her worst enemy and her best friend.
Yeah.
That's what she said. So my last word would be for parents, intervene as soon as possible and just really look for changes in your child.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. You're absolutely right. And I say most importantly, if you can stop them from that first pill, because it it has came to the point where these kids are not even getting a chance to be addicted because it's that first pill.
Right.
It's like
You're right,
they go on
Tauheedah.
that trip and they gone.
You're
You
right.
know, that's how severe that these pills out here. It's just it's so rampant and it's not, you know, I mean it's like the Walking Dead. Literally, it's just taking people as we're on this live, every 5 minutes someone has, you know, lost and to just kind of enlighten this too, you know, you do have people that had a dependency and have had a chance to kind of work up to being dependent, but the where we're at now as of today, it's no stigma, it's no addiction, it's one pill is killing. That's how potent this stuff is now. It's they don't even have a it's not even, oh, I'm on pills, I'm on pills. It's these kids, it's 10 kids in the room and 6 of them going OD off that pill because that is how lethal this fentanyl is. So I want to thank everyone that has gotten on this live and has stayed here with us. Thank you guys all. And please pass this information along. Scyla and I, we're available. If you guys have questions, you know, you guys can inbox me. Scyla, I would like for us to have you on again with us. You know, me and Tasha, we're trying to crusade around the world with this and give a platform for parents to share their stories and help other people, you know what I mean? Because I know that this is going to help. And if we have saved one life by providing this
Yes.
information, then it was well worth this live tonight.
Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone that was on the live tonight. Thank you guys all. Tasha, I love you from the bottom of my heart. I know that this has been such a busy week for you. And thank you for getting on this live. And Scyla, thank you so much. I know that it's been a while since we've been in contact, but just know that you stay in my heart. And you know, I can tell you this. I know that it hasn't been an easy journey, but I can tell that you are, and you got peace, and keep that peace that I see on you now. You have created a place of peace, and it's on you. And don't let nobody take that away from you.
Thank you, Tauheedah. And thank you, Tasha. And thank y'all for
Oh,
being
thank
here.
you. I'm so glad you were able to come on here because I know you had a lot to share as well as Tauheedah. This has been amazing.
Yes, yes, it has been. And I want to thank everyone that hopped on the live with us. God bless you all. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop in my inbox. Like I said, this live will be up on my page. Feel free to share. And if you guys need me, like I said, if I gotta pull up on you to drill it in your child's head until they understand the severity of what's going on, I'm willing